My sister introduced me to her fiancé's parents as the one who works in the courthouse. I smiled and shook hands while she added, she does like paperwork or something. Her fiancé, Marcus, went completely still. I'm not a clerk. I'm a district court judge. I have been for 3 years. It sounds like something you'd just correct on the spot, right? But in my family, Claire has always been the son everyone orbits. Summa cum laude, big law firm, husband-to-be with a tech VP title. I'm the younger sister who went to state school and worked 2 jobs through law school and spent years in the public defender's office before my appointment. Mom used to say I was taking the long road. Dad called my judgeship stable, the way you describe oatmeal. So when Claire threw her engagement party at my parents' country club and introduced me like I was filing forms in the basement, I didn't interrupt. I just waited. Marcus didn't say anything right away. He shook my hand, and I watched his face cycle through confusion, recognition, then something close to panic. He excused himself to the bathroom. Claire didn't notice. She was already talking about the wedding venue. That night, I got a text from a number I didn't recognize. This is Marcus. We need to talk, please. I didn't respond. The next morning, he sent another. I didn't know. Claire never told me your full name or what you do. I have a case. I think you're assigned to it. This is a nightmare. I felt the bottom drop out of my stomach. I pulled up the docket on my secure work laptop. It took less than 5 minutes to find it. Marcus Halloway, respondent in a custody modification case filed by his ex-wife. Initial hearing set for 2 weeks out. My courtroom. I called the chief judge's clerk before lunch. By that afternoon, I'd filed a recusal. I drafted it carefully, citing the relationship and potential bias, and requested reassignment. The chief judge signed off within an hour. I texted Marcus from my work phone. I've recused myself from your case. It will be reassigned. Do not contact my personal number again. He replied immediately. Thank you. I'm sorry. I really didn't know. I believed him. Claire has never asked what I actually do. She's never visited my chambers or attended a swearing-in. When I told her I'd been appointed, she said, "Oh, that's great," and then spent 20 minutes talking about her own promotion. I thought that would be the end of it. 2 days later, Claire called me at 8 in the morning. What the hell did you do? I was in my kitchen, still in my robe. The real kind, not the judicial kind. Good morning to you too, I said. Marcus is freaking out. He says you're assigned to his custody case, and now you recused yourself, and he thinks it makes him look bad. Like he tried to influence you or something. I put her on speaker and poured my coffee. I recused myself because it was the ethical thing to do, I said. I can't preside over a case involving a family member. He's not a family member yet. He's your fiancé. That's close enough. She exhaled hard. Can you unrecuse yourself? Or, talk to whoever's taking over? Just tell them Marcus is a good guy. He's not trying to keep his daughter from her mom. He just wants equal custody. I stopped mid-sip. Claire, I can't do that. That's not how any of this works. Why not? You're a judge. You have influence. I have ethics rules. She made a noise of frustration. This is such a you thing. You finally have a position where you could actually help someone, and you hide behind rules. I hung up. She texted me an hour later. You're being selfish. This is Marcus's daughter. She matters more than your bureaucracy. I didn't reply. That weekend was my nephew's birthday party. I almost didn't go, but he's 7 and he specifically asked if I was coming. So I drove to Claire's house with a present and low expectations. Marcus opened the door. He looked exhausted. Hey, he said quietly. Thanks for coming. Of course. He hesitated. For what it's worth, I told Claire you did the right thing. She's just stressed. I nodded and walked past him into the house. Claire was in the kitchen with Mom. When she saw me, she smiled brightly, the way she does when she's about to perform. Oh, good, you made it. We were just talking about the wedding. I set the present on the counter. Mom kissed my cheek. Sweetheart, Claire said there was some confusion about Marcus's legal situation. I glanced at Claire. She was looking at me with this expectant expression, like I was supposed to play along. No confusion, I said. I recused myself from a case. That's all. Right. But can you explain to Mom why you can't just help him out a little? She doesn't understand why you're being so difficult. I felt my jaw tighten. I'm not being difficult. I'm following the law. Claire laughed. It was light and dismissive. See, this is what I mean. She gets so rigid about this stuff. It's just a conversation, not a criminal conspiracy. Mom patted my hand. Honey, I know you take your job seriously, but this is family. I pulled my hand back. Mom, I'm a judge. I can't give legal advice or influence cases. If I did, I could be sanctioned, removed from the bench, or disbarred. Claire rolled her eyes. You're being dramatic. I turned to face her fully. Claire, what do you actually think I do? She blinked. You work at the courthouse. You told me. Doing what? She shrugged. I don't know, paperwork, legal stuff. I'm a district court judge. I was appointed 3 years ago. I preside over family law cases, civil disputes, and some criminal hearings. I have a courtroom, a docket, and a staff. I was sworn in by the governor. Mom's eyes widened. Wait, you're an actual judge? Like with the gavel? I stared at her. Mom, I invited you to my investiture. You said you couldn't make it because of Claire's work event. Claire's face went red. Okay, well, you never made a big deal about it. How was I supposed to know? I sent you an invitation. It said investiture ceremony at the top. I thought that was like a networking thing. I started laughing. I couldn't help it. It was either that or scream. Marcus appeared in the doorway. Everything okay? Claire turned to him. Did you know she was an actual judge? Like, a real one? He looked between us, clearly trying to figure out if this was a trick question. Yes, he said slowly. I recognized her from court. That's why I panicked at the party. Claire's mouth opened and closed. Mom said, Well, this is wonderful. Why didn't you tell us you'd moved up? I picked up my purse. I did. You didn't listen. I walked out before anyone could say anything else. My nephew ran after me into the driveway. I knelt down and gave him a hug and told him I'd take him to the Science Museum next weekend, just the two of us. He grinned and ran back inside. I cried the whole drive home. That night, I got a voicemail from Dad. Sweetheart, your mother told me there was some confusion today. I want you to know we're very proud of you. I didn't realize you'd been promoted. That's a big deal. Let's have lunch this week and you can tell me all about it. I deleted it. He didn't call again. 2 weeks later, Claire sent me a long email. I saved it. I've been thinking about what happened at the party, and I feel like you ambushed me. You've always been sensitive about your career, and I think you misinterpreted some things I said. I was trying to explain your job to Marcus's parents in simple terms because they're not legal people. I wasn't diminishing you. Also, Marcus's case got reassigned to Judge Carver, who apparently has a reputation for siding with mothers, and now Marcus is worried he won't get equal custody. I know you can't be involved directly, but if you could just give me some advice on what he should say or do, it would mean a lot. This is really important to our future. I don't want to start our marriage with him losing time with his daughter. Please call me. I read it twice, then forwarded it to my personal attorney with a note. For documentation purposes only. She replied within the hour. Do not respond. Do not offer advice. If she persists, let me know. I didn't respond. Claire called me 4 times over the next week. I didn't pick up. Then Marcus's hearing happened. I wasn't there, obviously, but I heard about the outcome through a colleague who mentioned it in passing. Judge Carver issued a temporary order maintaining the existing custody arrangement pending a full evaluation. Standard procedure. No one won or lost yet. That Friday, Claire showed up at my chambers. My clerk buzzed me. "Judge, your sister is here. She doesn't have an appointment." I closed my eyes. "Tell her I'm in a meeting." "I did. She says she'll wait." I finished the motion I was reviewing, then walked out to the waiting area. Claire was sitting in one of the chairs, scrolling on her phone. She looked up when she saw me. "Finally." "Do you have a minute?" "No." Her face tightened. "Seriously?" "I drove 40 minutes. You didn't call ahead. You're not answering my calls." I kept my voice level. "Claire, you can't be here. If anyone sees you in my chambers, it creates an appearance of impropriety." She stood up. "Oh my God, you sound like a robot. I'm your sister. And I'm a judge. You need to leave." She stared at me. "When did you become such a cold person?" I didn't answer. She grabbed her purse. "Marcus was right. You've changed. You used to care about people." She walked past me to the elevator. I waited until the doors closed, then went back to my office and wrote up a memo documenting the visit. I sent it to the chief judge's office. He called me 10 minutes later. "You did the right thing. If she comes back, have security escort her out." "Understood." "For what it's worth," he said. "Family stuff is the hardest part of this job." I thanked him and hung up. That night, I got a text from a number I didn't recognize. "This is Marcus. I'm sorry Claire went to your office. I told her not to. I don't want to cause problems for you. For what it's worth, I've started to see a lot of things more clearly. Thank you for handling everything properly." I didn't respond. A week later, my mom called. "Claire is very upset. She says you embarrassed her at your office." I switched the phone to my other ear. "Mom?" She showed up unannounced and tried to talk to me about a case. "I can't do that. She's your sister. And I'm a judge." There was a long silence. "You know, sometimes I don't recognize you," Mom said. "You used to be so sweet." "I'm still sweet. I'm just not a doormat," she sighed. "That's not fair, isn't it?" She hung up. I poured myself a glass of wine and sat on my couch in the dark. By spring, the invitations went out for Claire's wedding. Mine arrived with a note tucked inside. "I hope we can put everything behind us. You're still my sister, and I want you there. Plus, Marcus's case is almost settled, so there's no conflict anymore. Let me know if you're bringing a +1. I checked the docket. Marcus's case was still pending, but they'd reached a tentative agreement in mediation. The final hearing was scheduled for 2 weeks before the wedding. I RSVP'd for one. The wedding was at a vineyard 2 hours north. I drove up the morning of and checked into a hotel nearby. The ceremony was nice. Claire looked beautiful. Marcus looked nervous. At the reception, I sat at a table with some of my parents' friends. They were polite and asked what I did. I told them. They seemed impressed. Claire's maid of honor gave a toast about how Claire always knew what she wanted and went after it. Everyone clapped. I drank my champagne and checked my phone. During dinner, Claire stopped by my table. "I'm glad you came," she said. "Of course. Marcus's custody thing finalized last week. 50-50 split. He's really happy." "That's good." She hesitated. "I know things have been weird. I just want us to go back to normal." I looked at her. "What's normal?" She frowned. "You know, sisters. We've always been sisters, Claire. That was never the issue." "Then what is?" I set down my fork. "You didn't know what I did for a living. You didn't care enough to ask." "That's not true. You introduced me as a courthouse worker. You thought I did paperwork." Her face flushed. "I made a mistake." "I'm sorry. It wasn't just a mistake. It was 3 years of not paying attention. So what, you're never going to forgive me?" "I'm not angry. I'm just done pretending it doesn't matter." She stared at me for a long moment, then walked away. I left before the cake was cut. On the drive home, I got a text from Marcus. "Thank you for coming. I know it wasn't easy. I'm sorry for everything that happened. You deserved better from all of us. I pulled over at a rest stop and wrote back, "I hope you're happy. Take care of your daughter." He sent a thumbs up. I deleted his number. 3 months later, I got a voicemail from Claire. "Hey, it's me. I've been thinking a lot about what you said at the wedding. I talked to my therapist about it, and she said I have a pattern of not seeing people clearly when I'm focused on my own stuff. I don't know if that makes sense. Anyway, I'm sorry. I really am. I'd like to have coffee sometime if you're open to it." No pressure. I saved the voicemail but didn't call back. A week later, she texted, "I know I don't deserve a response, but I want you to know I looked up your investiture ceremony online. There's a video on the state website. I watched the whole thing. You looked so proud. I should have been there. I'm sorry I wasn't." I stared at the message for a long time. Then I typed, "I'm free for coffee on Saturday. 10 a.m. at the place near the courthouse." She replied immediately, "I'll be there. I don't know if things will ever be the way they were. Honestly, I'm not sure I want them to be, but I showed up on Saturday and so did she. She didn't ask me for anything. She didn't make excuses. She just said, 'Tell me about your job.' I want to know, so I did. It wasn't forgiveness, not yet. But it was a start. I drove home that afternoon and hung my robe on the back of my office door. The late light came through the window and caught the embroidered seal, and for the first time in months, I felt something loosen in my chest. Sometimes the loudest thing you can say is nothing at all, until people are finally ready to listen.